welcome back to the Learning Network. I hope you are so well, and at the time of recording, we are in the school holidays. There's about 2 weeks left for some of you, so I hope that you're well and you have been enjoying your well-earned break. Today I'm sharing with you 5 really actionable tips that you can implement into your classroom this year with your students. So we're going to really uncover these strategies to really help build relationships in your classroom. Because I'm not sure about you, but I think we sometimes underestimate the power of relationships in our busy PDHPE and CAFS classrooms. So the first one is really quickly diving into your students' names. Now that sounds like, 101, but whether you're in a K-6 PDHPE space or you're teaching 7 to 12, whatever it is, trying to get to know your students, their first name, really quickly has always been a bit of a mission of mine, and I've done quite a few different things in the past. So I've had got the kids to make little labels for their desk, or potentially even labels on their uniform. Got them to create something so I can visually see their name. Something that I adopted probably about 5 years in was getting my kids to sit in cooperative learning groups or collaborative learning groups. So sitting in groups in the class, I knew who was sitting with who. So I would often get my kids to, for the first 5 weeks, choose a partner to sit with, and then those 2 partners would sit with another partner. Or potentially, if you're in a bigger class, you can get the kids to kind of choose like a group of 4 to sit with. Especially in a high school situation, that works really well because the kids get to know each other in a different space. But if you're in a primary setting, of course, you can adopt and change based on maybe last year's teachers' feedback about the class, that type of thing. So I know definitely in a high school classroom, it looks very different. And I've tried lots of different things in the past, using the kids' names, having an activity at the beginning of the year that helps you remember their names. I've done things like, you stand in a circle and you get the kids to think of a descriptive word that helps you describe their personality or what they like. So you might go loving Lexi or crazy Cass, my 2 kids, that type of thing, to kind of help you remember their names, but also for the class to remember their name as well. So lots of things like that really easy ways to help the kids to remember each other's name, but for also you to learn their names pretty quickly. Having a class list at the ready always helps. Having photos of the kids. I know if you have something like Central, that kind of gives you a really great snapshot or compass. The kids show up and kind of looking visually at that. And even getting the kids to raise their hand physically, especially in a high school classroom, so you can visually eyeball who that student is and get them to do that for the first few weeks. I know when students look very similar, sometimes it's a little bit harder, but hopefully there's a way that you can visually remember, okay, that was that student and not that student. So just some really simple ways to help learn the kids' names. And what I would often encourage my students to do would actually, if we're doing an activity or if they're going to ask me a question about, something, they might say, "Hi, Miss, I'm Rachel," and then they might ask their question like that. So they're, first of all, kind of saying their name. Okay, that's names. So obviously these are things that are going to help make life really easy in the first few lessons, first few weeks of the term, but also capturing what your students' interests are. So obviously adopting some sort of team building and, collaborative learning activities in your classroom, so you get to know the students on a different level. You want to hear potentially, what background, what their interests are, a little bit about what they enjoy, what they did in the holidays, that type of thing, to kind of get to know the class, but for the class to also hear from each other. They might not have been in the same year group as them, the same class as them. When they come into a new group of students, they might kind of be mixed up. So getting the kids to talk about their interests, what they like to do on the weekend, what they did in the holidays, and giving them prompts to kind of help answer those things. So you could do that in a number of different ways. So you could have like a physical object that they might bring in as like a prompt to kind of share a little bit about themselves. So if it was me, I might bring in, I might bring in a book, or I might bring in like a little jar of sand to represent the beach, or I might bring in, something to represent the gym. I don't know. For the kids, they might bring in, a photo. That might bring in a trophy that they got for sport, or they might bring in their favorite book that they read in the holidays. Or they might bring in, a symbol from their home that represents what they enjoy. So just getting to know them, their interests, then you can kind of use that to spark conversation throughout the first few weeks of the term, but also long-term about them and getting to know them on that deeper level. Obviously, teaching PDHPE and community and family studies, it lends us to help with that. And the more that we know about the kids, the better we can break down those barriers between teacher and student. And obviously with the content that we're teaching the kids, what they're sharing, the stories that they're sharing from their life, if we know a little bit about them, what they're interested in, we can then kind of tweak and change and add to that as well as we go along. Okay, so that's number 2, so their interests. The next one, I suppose with all of this, is to also, share a bit about yourself as well, without sharing too many personal, bits and pieces that you're not comfortable with sharing. Sharing with the students, what you did in the holidays, what you enjoy doing on the weekend, what your interests are, so they kind of get to know you at that different level. Okay, number 3 is getting to know the students' family background. So you can kind of keep an ear to the ground about what's happening for them in their life, who's at home, if they have siblings, how old their siblings are, that type of thing. Obviously, keeping in mind that some students might not want to actually share all the personal, information about their family, and there would be a disclosure at the beginning to say, look, if you're not comfortable sharing certain things, please be very mindful of what you're sharing. But we want to hear, who's in your family, that type of thing. And of course, the kids might like to bring in a photo of their family. They might, again, bring a symbol in that represents their family, or something to kind of show, a bit about their background as well. And for the kids to respect each other, to maintain those boundaries, but also give the kids an opportunity to actually ask questions of each other. I know when I've done that before, that often has sparked up some really good conversations between students. Like they might ask each other about a particular family member, or I didn't realise that, your sister did this, or that you guys lived, in Wagstaff, whatever it might have been, and they can kind of spark that. Okay, then number 4 is about goals. So I think it's really important for our students to talk to us about their personal and learning goals. So even our little ones in primary school, sharing with us what their short-term, medium and long-term goals are for this year. So it could be in terms of what they would like to achieve at home, at sporting events, that type of thing, their activities, but also at school. So you might say, get the kids to write down, if they're really little, what is one thing you would like to maybe do this year? What's one goal that you have for this year? A personal goal, a school goal, that type of thing. For the older kids, what they might like to do is share a little bit about their intentions for the year. They might have a word that they've kind of carved out as to kind of have the focus or the theme for the year for them. They might have developed a vision board or a dream board for their year. If they're a bit older, you might incorporate SMART goals with the kids. So specific, measurable, achievable, realistic and timely goals. If you're a community and family studies teacher, you might like to use that acronym from the beginning of if you're 11 or year 12, they might be familiar with that. So you're kind of using that in tandem, but really kind of listening to the kids about what they're hoping to achieve in that particular year. So hearing from them, obviously that can help you, really establish some good, actions to help them and to support their goals for the year. One thing I've tried before is a bit of a take on 10 things I hate about you, but 10 things to know about me. So I've done this in like a Google form. I've done it in a physical questionnaire. I've done it with like a visual with like posters in the background, and the kids write their like a sticky note on it. Again, some kids might not want to share all of this or some of this, but it's a great activity to get to know the kids as well. So 10 things about me. You might have things like, these things interest me. When I have free time, I like to. When I'm at school, I would rather work independently or in cooperative learning groups. I learn best when. I can't learn when. One learning experience I would like to suggest this year is my favourite subject at school is words that describe me are, here are 3 things that are special about my family. It's always a nice one, and one goal I have for this year. So something that's like that for you to kind of get to know the kids, but also for the kids to get to know each other. And the last one is the classroom environment. Now, we know that relationships are paramount to success in your classroom, and that's success in terms of educational success, but also in terms of building the kids' confidence. So working together, excuse me, and I think a really good environment helps with that as well. So if you're in a primary school setting, you might have the really beautiful opportunity to have a lot of flexible furniture. You might have a breakout space in the classroom next to you. You might have a corner that you dub as your wellbeing corner or your prayer space, or you might have a designated wall for literacy, a designated wall for PDH, for science, that type of science and tech, all those sorts of things in your classroom. And obviously having visuals without being Instagram worthy. I know a lot of primary school teachers do spend so much time making their classrooms look like they've just come off Instagram, and they spend a lot of money in the holidays trying to do that. Just keep it simple. Don't bombard your kids with so many visuals that takes away from the learning. Obviously, the visuals that you choose are there to support the kids, but not actually take away from what you're doing and the signals that you're providing for the kids. High school is a bit tricky. I was really lucky for the first part of my career as a PE teacher. We were thrown everywhere because of the nature of PE, of having practical and theory, that division, which still exists in many high schools. We were just thrown wherever. So I remember teaching PDH in lots of science labs, lots of tech rooms, art rooms, because we were thrown around the whole school. The back end of my career at Nagel, we had some demountables, which were coined as a PDHPE space. Me and our coordinator, Karen, we actually shared a classroom. I was only working 2 days a week at that point. And so Karen had the classroom for the majority of the time, and then I had it for the days that I was there. So we kind of said, okay, well, this is my CAFS kind of space. This is our PE space. This is our, year 11 and 12 PDH space, and then divvied up the classroom like that. We had glossary of keywords posters all around the room. And if you would love to get access to our glossary of keywords posters with prompts and scaffolds, head to thelearnet.com/unlock the secrets, and it's unlock the secrets, the glossary of keywords, to get access to those posters. We've done some new versions which are a bit more less feminine. So we have our pink and aqua, but we also have some green and yellow ones as well. Other than that, as a high school teacher, trying to make really good use of your spaces. So I know the back end, when I worked in the public school, we had stand-up desks, which I absolutely love. If you have the opportunity to get stand-up desks for your junior and senior classes, they are an absolute godsend. I loved ours. I loved it to promote, some really deep thinking, some breakout spaces, to get the kids off their bums in terms of a health perspective, but also just have variety in the classroom. That was a great thing that we had access to. Creating a wellbeing space in your high school PDHPE class is also a great little strategy, and maybe even adopting something like a gratitude jar. And I created, if you're watching this on YouTube, we created this in my classroom. It just says grateful, and then we used to put little post-it notes in there. This is grateful because these are our CAFS Collective and HMS members for our memberships, but we'll be adding our K to 10 PDHPE members to this very shortly. But we'll show you some samples on Instagram and Facebook of what you can do to set up a really simple, quick gratitude jar, and getting the kids to write down, during a lesson, at the end of the day, what they're grateful for. For the younger kids, you might say, what made you happy today? Or what made you laugh today? That type of thing, to kind of promote that gratefulness across your classroom. So let's quickly recap our 5 strategies and tips for an actionable classroom this year. The first one is to focus on the names, learn the kids' names really quickly. The second one is to find out what they're interested in and use that in your classroom to get to know them. The third one is about their family, their culture, their background. Number 4 is about being able to dive into their goals, so you can actually work towards them achieving their goals. And number 5 is working on your environment and really thinking about ways that can enhance your environment and create that really safe space for your kids. I know, when was it? I think in the public system, we had a number of different teachers coming into our school. And I remember a head teacher PE from another school saying, "Oh, Kell, I love your classroom. It's so inviting for the kids. It's so calming. How lucky are the kids to come into this wonderful space?" So if you can create a really good space for your kids, even if if you're a high school teacher and that goes around different classrooms, different classrooms or different spots in the school, creating a cupboard that you can then bring stuff out was something that I tried as well. But as you may have heard, we are announcing that we have 2 brand new memberships on offer this year. So a K to 6 PDHPE membership designed for busy primary school teachers who often feel that primary PDH is on the back burner. They don't have time to really deliver it well or to plan for it because they've got so many other things happening in their classroom, especially with busy literacy and numeracy blocks, and obviously the pressure that I think, at the end of the day, that NAPLAN has created in New South Wales schools. But we have our K to 6 PDHPE membership available. So if you're teaching across New South Wales and you're looking for go-to resources for PDHPE, would love to welcome you into our new membership. So head over to thelearnet.com/PDHPE /primary for the primary membership. And we also have our 7 to 10 PDHPE membership also launching. We have 20% of our founding member spots already snapped up. So if you're a 7 to 10 PE teacher, you can head over to thelearnet.com/secondary. So if you've loved the CAFS Collective, if you've loved our HMS membership so far, if you've loved our masterclasses, our resources, these are going to be just icing on the cake for you as a PDHPE teacher here in New South Wales. So in the meantime, I hope that you're enjoying your holidays. You haven't whipped out the laptop yet, but if there's anything we can do to support you, please let us know. Have the best day.